Hey everyone, it's Friday. It's Friday, October 21st, almost 3 p.m. on the East Coast. We're going to talk about stock market and talk about global issues in general. This is basically like a podcast. I'm going to start calling it, the Ken Stock podcast, Ken's Top 10 Stock Podcast or whatever. There's a lot of things we can do here. It used to be the top 10 stocks files, what this used to be called, because we have this list of 10 here and we get to throw that list into this cool model essentially or query. I don't know why this is happening. What do we have, an error on the ninth company? Oh, we don't have a number 9. That's why. But that's the problem. I think we fixed it. So what's going on in here is we get to look at this by color. It's really interesting because what you're seeing here is the top 10 companies that, through my process of putting target prices in for all of these companies here, there's a percentage of the target that the company is, and the lower the percentage, the better the deal the company is, according to my logic. Which means that the top of the list is you're supposed to be buying Tesla according to my algorithm. If you watch any of these videos about stocks and what I talk about, that is not news to you that I'm telling you to buy Tesla. But what's cool about looking at this color wise is all those companies that are on the list, you get to compare them by color. One, how much they moved for the day. Also, what their market cap is, right? The green usually means bigger, larger, better, and red means worse, lower, smaller most of the time is what the colors. And in the middle, yellow is like in the middle, and orange is closer to red than yellow, right? So smaller. So if you start to think in terms of colors instead of numbers, which I think is kind of easy because I'm using the same logic as I think every traffic light in the world, which is green means go and red means stop and yellow means you're about to stop, right? So I try to use that in the design of these things because it makes sense to our brains intrinsically rather than just looking at the size of numbers and having to convert those numbers into something. I like to think in terms of colors. So when you're looking at this in terms of colors, well, what pops out? Oh my goodness, Moderna had an excellent day. They're up 8%. Why? Because they're the future, like no doubt, 100%. Somebody like raised their target on them still to a number that is below their current price. That's what I saw was the note on this company, was that one of the rating agencies was like, oh, we're going to raise our target price from 75 to 101. So Moderna goes up. Well, wait a minute, they're at 128. So what does your target price really mean, you dumbos? Like I have a target price of 150 because I know what I'm talking about. Like these people, oh God, these people are too slow on the uptake. Anyway, they want to cover their butt if Moderna goes down because they think the market is going down. And I do understand that because they're right that could happen and that could bring everybody down. But in the long run, they're going to cross this, and I have it as a quarterly target because people are going to start to realize as everyone gets sick and we have to tailor our own medications and we want to cure cancers with vaccines, that's an awesome thing because people want to live healthy lives, healthy, long lives, right? Who wouldn't pay for a healthy, long life? Anybody who's suffering from any debilitating disease or anything that could potentially be cured would pay a lot of money or whatever they could, right? I think that we can all kind of agree with that. All right, so that's why that happens once in a while, and that's why it happened last year. And I made $6,000 on a $150 option in 48 hours once, and then I watched it go down to zero in the next few days because I didn't sell it because I believe in this company so much that I didn't sell it. And I just, in my head, I thought, well, everyone's going to realize that this company is like saving human life and people are just going to continue to pour money into them indefinitely. And no, that's not the way the stock market works. But that's my optimistic theory about just feeling about understanding how these companies work. That's one of the reasons why I do these videos, is because I have a way of extrapolating what the future could be and should be oftentimes. And the market is a good way to identify companies that are supporting that type of future, or companies that are legacy companies that are supporting the status quo. And maybe those companies don't need to be around anymore if they're not going to change. And I'd like to talk about that as well, because you can short the market or long the market. You can bet the market's going to go up or you can bet the market's going to go down. That's what stock options allow you to do on such a short time frame that I essentially call it gambling, because that's what it is. And we'll get into that. So point is, today, what you can see in this list is that Everything's up except for I don't know what this Rasnet's probably mistargeted. Like I haven't updated some of these in a while. So I've got a last review date here, and you're looking at September. You're looking at a month ago essentially for all of these. I'm fine with these, but the RadNet is a small company, and everything medical got hit today. And let me show you that. So in the day's change, if you can now sort this by the biggest losers today, which is what I do every day now to continue to go through this list and also to identify big movers, is you sort this and then you start to go. I go through each company and I'm like, well, what happened? And I review, right? And you can see I've gotten a lot of them done today, but this list shifts around throughout the day because you're getting current prices coming in from Google Finance, at least about 15 or 20-minute delayed or something, but it's pretty darn good. Now, the as you go through, you see healthcare took a beating today for some reason. Yesterday it was like utilities that took a beating. It seems like the powers that be, the hedge fund managers that be, or whatever, the people that are moving around big money, that the not Kathy Woods, but the other people that are moving a lot of money around, decided, well, we all sense the market's up for a drop because there's a lot of uncertainty with politics everywhere. I mean, Liz Truss, like, British PM just stepped down. Like, now is not a time for no leadership in the world, given all the strife that's going on in Ukraine and what to do about Putin. Really, it's not even Russia. It's what to do about Putin. It's one man that is holding the world hostage in a lot of ways and killing just indiscriminate innocent people and ruining lives in every direction. And it just can't continue. I think we're all understanding that the threat of nuclear war is ridiculous, but you got a crazy person that would try to do it because he doesn't care. He's a sociopath, doesn't care about human life. Those kind of people can't be in charge of the lives and the balance of humanity. And humanity has to step up and do something about it. I mean, you talk about words like regime change or whatever. Well, when the guy's a human threat to all of the world, why doesn't the world do something? And I think we can unite. We hopefully can unite behind that. If we can't, then you start to question whether or not the human race is going to make it on the planet. Because if we can't all work toward a human benefit, or the majority of us empower ourselves for the benefit of humanity, then we're going to destroy ourselves. And I don't think we want to go down that route. So, and there's a lot of people, a lot of smart people that are trying to prevent that from happening. So let's continue to do that. As for all that uncertainty, with which I just spoke about, is what is weighing on a lot of big decisions when it comes to big financial decisions in the market and in business in general. So that issue means that I think what the hedge fund managers are doing, from what I've seen over the last few days, is they're hitting industries that are still a little inflated from the run up over the last couple years. Like, they sold some utilities yesterday. Today they're selling healthcare stuff. I looked through a lot of these financials today and yesterday, or today pretty much, right? And I saw that these are profitable healthcare companies that are now reporting lower than reported revenue for potential future quarters and things like that. They are still profitable and they're still entrenched and people are still paying their bills here. But inflation is probably hitting them on products as well, and just in general, right? So they're lowering guidance. So it was a good time for these hedge fund managers to pull out of these industries and drop them by like 6 or 7% today. Monday, it'll probably be a different industry that they find, whatever. It just seems like that's the way it's cycling right now. But the point of that is that overall, you've got this water circling the drain, meaning things are going down because nobody wants to dump a bunch of stuff into anything right now in the next few weeks, right? Doesn't seem like it. So what about the companies that went up then? Well, who did go up today? I'm not sure why I haven't looked at that yet. Novavax does have a problem. Novavax was an overreaction on the sell here because everyone thought they were going to get COVID money. So they're not necessarily a bad, their thing does work, and it's a different way of vaccinating. It marries two different assemblies of the thing. It's nano, it's different. I mean, I don't like to turn my brain off to new technology, and they did have good results somehow that were statistically even more significant, a higher number than I think some of the other vaccines that we're using, if I remember correctly. There's some videos by Dr. Schwelt from Riverside. He has medcram.com and medcram videos all over YouTube. Those are so exceptionally helpful, informative, and guys, I think quadruple board certified. And I mean, he puts out a product that is medical school worthy. It's actually 4 doctors, but it's watchable for the layman as well. And he went through explaining how this vaccine works and the studies. And just, I mean, the resources that are available on YouTube and the internet for learning about these companies and stuff now is something that only a specialist analyst would have had even remote access to decades ago. And now everybody from, your basement, you can just get answers to questions about things and do really just impeccable research. So I understand why they're going back up. There was an overreaction that brought them down. Moderna, yeah, it was a big biotech day apparently, right? And Netflix reporting, I talked about Netflix yesterday. They aren't kicking me out, and that is helping them because they also took a massive drop. I didn't review Alcoa. Avis continues to blow through it. I have to raise this. I'm sorry. I haven't looked at their financials today, and I will do that. I don't need to review. Good. I'm gonna put good timing. So people do want to travel. It doesn't look like we're closing down, closing down flights everywhere because of new COVID or whatever. We're trying to deal with this in another way now because we realized we have to deal with it another way, which is just rapid vaccines and also sanitary health. Gosh, I want to talk in this podcast about the world that I want to live in and that I try to build around me, but also that I want the world to live in. And it's a world, I'd call it the solar blanket approach. It's a place where things that are helpful to humans are everywhere and are powered by solar and electricity. Meaning the solar blanket is essentially there's a blanket of human subsistence all over, let's call it America, let's call it the US, where there's just solar panels and batteries, and these batteries are charging things like public bathrooms, like the old school porta potty, except it's an electric porta potty with plumbing and stuff, and it cleans itself because it's run off solar power, and you pay like 50 cents to use it, and it's always super clean and sanitary, and it has soap, and it's awesome. Just everywhere, just all over everywhere. Like people can rent their front yard to be a charging station, to be whatever. Everyone can monetize their property. There's just solar batteries everywhere, right? And it's super sanitary. And so we're just rolling around in electric cars that are not polluting our air and making our air more harmful to breathe. And we're then charging everything essentially for low cost or free because we're using solar, and they're just everywhere. I mean, you just cover the country with these things everywhere. And then you make the battery receptacle something that you can change out and enhance so that when we develop even more powerful, higher voltage, higher kilowatt storage and better voltage transmission, as we develop advanced batteries, we then we can change them out. But and also when we change solar panels that become more efficient, we can change those out. So we're just talking about like a solar blanket array over the country, and we use it. We use it to travel. We use it to clean ourselves. We use it to get fresh water. Hey, you know what you can do with solar power? You can boil water. Yes, you can. You ever try focusing a bunch of mirrors? It will work. You ever try and focus a Fresnel lens? I think it's called Fresnel lens. There's a guy in Florida who hangs out with his wife and just burns stuff up with a huge lens. That's what he does. And you absolutely can boil water with that. And you know what you can do with boiled water? You can make hydrogen, I think. No, maybe not. Maybe you need electrolysis, but you can use the solar power to do electrolysis and make hydrogen if you want to power something with hydrogen. Or you can just create steam, run mini turbines, and find a way to charge that battery in a unique way where you're just boiling water with the sun all day. There are tons of things you can do with solar power, and they all equal energy. So I don't see why we don't totally revolutionize the country. We bring ourselves into the 22nd century, okay, now, and we just decentralize all these things that we need. I mean, if there was ever a time where it's more obvious that the need for decentralized energy is apparent in the world, is what's going on in Ukraine. I mean, look at what Russia's doing. They're bombing power plants in Kyiv so that nobody has power. Well, if everyone had power in their own house and the entire city was covered with solar everywhere, they'd have to bomb every single solar panel and battery to have the same effect, right? They would only smear certain areas. They wouldn't take a centralized area out. So the need for decentralized power is obvious. And battery tech and solar, because it's free. And I'm not against wind either. I mean, wind can work, so can water. Water is a great one. Waves, great at doing that. But we got to take that energy, we got to put it into batteries, and then we have to have everything running off of batteries. And another reason there's never been a better time to stop worrying about oil. What do we have? We have them blowing up pipes in seas. We've got Russia extorting and threatening us, Saudi Arabia doing the same thing, trying to change the price of everything by raising the price of oil. Well, if we weren't so dependent on oil, then that wouldn't matter, right? So it's time to blanket the world, not just the country, with a solar blanket and use that energy free, basically free, to support humanity and make it better. It's obvious in my mind that that'd be a great way to go. So I'm going to look for companies that are doing that. And at least Canadian Solar had a good day. I wonder if they have a heavy short interest because the oil industry takes a short interest on them, right? Where are they? Right at Canadian Solar. Let's find you. I always wondered, I'm like, why? There it is. They're down at 381. Why? They're up 1. Oh, for some reason, I guess that didn't show up for a second. Sort that again. There you go. So yeah, at least they're up a little bit today. But yeah, they have a heavy short interest, but they're a company that's doing what I say, which is making stuff that's going to help us all. So you also go with the battery companies as well and making new batteries. And I guess mining lithium still, but we're going to find other ways of doing batteries. And there should just be a battery revolution. Solar blanket battery revolution, 100%. So what else did I want to talk about today? Talk about doing that. Actual stock option strategy. I lost again on my Tesla option unless they go up like $7 a share in the next 45 minutes. So better sell that. That's not happening. But I did, oh yeah, puts, because I said the market's going down. So your quarterly, your target prices of one are companies that I say to put on, not LSI. Don't put on LSI. They're actually okay. These ones here, and I almost want to put the word put instead because it makes more sense. And you're going to get no target on here, but that's okay. So I don't know how Schrodinger's doing. Facebook has had a bad day. I think they report earnings or something, but they went down from 130 something, 120 something. They still got ways to go down. And I bought one on Robux. I think they're up today, but mine doesn't expire today. I got some time on this one because this is a company that will also continue to go down. And I have some home builders and stuff that could go on here, but I don't like rooting for that because it doesn't. It's just a natural cyclical slow in building that's going to cause that. It's not that they're bad companies, so it's almost like a super short term put I would talk about on the home building sector in a lot of ways and supplier to that because that I think is going to slow. But with the new Congress and who knows? That's why I want to focus on instead of putting on or going against home builders and stuff. I would say it's actually time to go forward on the alternative energy market, like I'm talking about the solar decentralized battery situation, like this company EcoFlow that I saw an ad for. I haven't tried their product, but man, it looks like it works, and the ratings are incredible. Like just having pods, packs of 1 to 3 kilowatt hours, I think it is, stored in there like you can run serious appliances for an extended period of time and then recharge them with solar. Like you can have multiple ones of them. Like if you've got $20,000 to put into having batteries and solar, you could like perpetually power yourself at your house, even through power outages in a lot of ways. Maybe not everything, but almost. And then also if you got access to power, you can recharge them quickly in like under an hour, I think. So that EcoFlow is not a public company, I don't think, but companies that are doing that, that's where you want to focus your money. Is solar, battery. It's becoming more obvious that is the way to go for multiple reasons in the world right now, and also the benefit of all of our health and the benefit of our access to the world. If we can start moving around and transporting ourselves without burning emissions, without combustion engine, with just electric everywhere, and have charging stations everywhere so that there's no more range anxiety. Basically, it'll become the opposite of how it is today, which is it's tough to find a gas station. It won't be tough to find a charging station. Charging stations will be everywhere, especially in the middle of the desert, because there's nothing but sun in the middle of the desert and basically free land. Like, you got public lands, they should take all those public lands and just start blanketing them with solar arrays. Like, that's the perfect thing to do there, because you could set up a business, all right, on the was it BLM lands, like the US has got Colorado and Utah and all kinds of stuff. You could set up, just like I said, in small towns yesterday. If you watched the podcast I did about stocks yesterday, I said small towns could be building solar panels and assembling batteries and stuff like that. You could have small towns across the country in the solar panel build initiative, where everyone, kids, everybody's going in and making solar panels because it's that easy with solar film. We're taking those solar panels and we're blanketing the BLM lands with them, right? And we're plugging in batteries that those solar panels are charging. And you could just have racks of batteries, like you almost have servers in a data center. There's racks of batteries underneath a canopy of solar panels, right? And some big truck comes in every like 3 days and takes like 40 of those batteries out and puts 40 back in and need to get charged again, and goes puts those batteries out in the market and runs an electric truck to go do it. I mean, it is the sun being your economy, and it's just something. We have the land and we have the know-how, we have the technology with the solar to do that. That's the kind of initiative that would get the whole country together. It's not like it is like building planes in World War II, but it's building solar to give us all the independence to fight natural disasters by having decentralized energy everywhere, to fight foreign adversaries that are using oil to extort us, and to make our country awesome by being able to travel around emissions free, so that anyone who has an electric car can go see a national park, can drive around without expensive cost and without burning fuel. It's an optimal future, and we should try to make it happen. And so I'm going to support companies that are trying to make that happen. And I'm going to expand upon these ideas, and hopefully the powers that be hear them, see them, and use them to make this country awesome, more awesomer, basically. All right. So that's my update for today. We'll see what happens to the market on Monday. Tesla's still at basically historic lows, sort of. So I did lower them to 250 because I do think the market's still up for a shock the next few weeks. And that means that basically everything kind of goes down, unfortunately. But that's probably what happens. But if you want to focus on something positive, focus on stuff like this, because this has got long-term staying power and it's the direction we should be going. All right. Good luck, everyone. May all your trades be winning.